In this video, we'll show you how to create comprehensive reports from the Report Manager within the BuildSoft Diamonds software. Select your report preferences such as table of content, etc. Select the Modify Selection and View option. This brings up the 3D viewer, which then enables you to rotate the model in 3D or any orientation you require to get a more favourable view of your model. By selecting the Geometry tab and a configuration which is a predefined view of the model, I can display information that I require. By selecting the red eye button, it brings up an option configuration or visual configuration, which you can then select what you wish to display. As you can see, we have the Show Geometry tick box selected. We click on Insert Geometry Data into the Table of Contents and also select Data for the cross section and Material to be included. So now let's look at the results. As you can see, there's an awful lot of data there which might be too much. What you can do is go back in and modify it to change your option. For example, you might want to remove all the plates and footings and bars, and you can do that by selecting the options quite easily. Now we can preview our report again, and as you can see, the report is a lot smaller and it's just highlighting all the items that we were interested in, like the bar sections, material properties, etc. We can also add a view of the geometry with the length of the bars added. So what we'll do is we'll close the report and go to the geometry configuration and then select the red eye. I will make a new geometry configuration, so I go to geometry, click on the red eye, add in the name length, and also give it geometry plus length as a title. And this will now be added to the current one. I can also rename geometry configurations if you want to rename or change the name at a later stage. For instance, in this example, I'm renaming my new name geometry, which is in Dutch, to an English name called Geometry Selection. I will also reduce the font size a little bit to make it a bit more clearer. So going back to report right now, so I have Geometry Selection, which I'm then going to go in and modify and change the view, and so that I can make the font size a bit smaller and make it once again much more readable. So I'm now going to create a new report and include the configuration, geometry configuration within this new report, so that we just show the lengths, and we want to include it within the table of contents and add it to the other report. And now when you can see, we run the report, we not only have the cross section, but we also have the information on the length of the bars and the sections, etc. And if you zoom in, you can see that this is just one of the view representing the model. If you don't like that view, you might want to go back and change it again, which is quite easy by selecting the geometry length view, clicking on the orientation you wish to look at. You can turn on the grid, not turn it off, but make it invisible. And as soon as you click on that and then you preview again, you can see that the report has updated and included the new view. We can now add another report called Loads, so we create a new one called Loads, and we can then add in this into the table of contents, and we can then play around with what kind of loads which we want to show. Do we want to show the dead weights? Do we want to include all the working weights, etc.? These can all be added in to our report, which will make it very comprehensive. We can now also include load case information, but be careful. If you have many load case combinations, it can work into many thousands, which would then make your report extremely large. What we can do is create a new report called results, where we can then highlight the results we're interested in, which are to be used against the code check. So therefore this will reduce the number of pages that you will display. Maybe what we're interested in is the resistance verification, and that can easily be selected by choosing the options with which you wish to see from the results section. Previewing the report again will show us what different selections we've made and how they've been added to within the existing report. Here you can see we have bar 1, bar 2. What would be interesting is to have a geometry configuration which has all the bar names on it. So we will create a new geometry configuration, display the names, and then add this within to the report. Just say you want to move the geometry bar number above the results check. It's very easy to do. You just select the bar number and drag it above the results check, and then that reorders it and also changes the table of contents, etc. So this makes it very easy to put it in the order and format of which you are interested in. And we'll now show you the preview of this new changed format. If you zoom in, you can see that here within the results check that you've got all the calculations and all the formulas for Eurocode 3 with which has been calculated and then displayed within the results. Once you have the report configured to how you like it, you can export it into an Rtf file, which is a rich text format. So you can input that into Word documents, so you can put your own templates on, etc. But also you can, within the report section, add your own logos. You can change the format and the fonts. You can add dates, times, as well as whoever made the calculations that would run the report, the architect. These are all available within the page setup of the Report Manager. Here you can see we're searching on the computer to insert a logo within the report. Just by clicking on the icon there, we can then go through and search on your network to insert any form of logo or picture you wish to add within the report, which will be placed at the top. Within the page setup section, you can, as well as adding logos, you can also add headers and footers, and you can also add such things as names, dates, anything you like within that section. Let's now review what we've done, and then we'll show you what's been added to the report. It looks like we haven't scaled the logo very well, but that's easily fixed, and you just need to go back in and just change or select a larger logo. Once again, going into the page setup section, we can actually use the advanced features, which gives you more options to add in more field data. Also, by going to the project reference section, you can add in information about the project data, like the name and address of your company, the structural engineer, architects, contractor, principals, etc. These can then be added to the front of the report by selecting the one of the sections, like the first section, and then adding them in there. But because you see they're greyed out at the moment, that's because we've put no information into those sections. But if they were there, you can then sort of check the boxes and add them to the report. Also, by going into the page setup again, we can also use the advanced features to add in our own text, like engineer, the date that the report was created, and using the date field, which you click on there, add, move it around, you format it in any way that you like, and then this will then be added to the report. This concludes our demonstration, and thank you for listening. If you require any further information, then please contact me on the number that is being displayed on the screen now.